What would you do if you found yourself trapped in one of the deadliest underwater places on Earth? Alone, no escape, every breath dragging you closer to the end. And the only witness? A camera recording your final moments for the world to see. This was Yuri Lipski's reality. This is his story. To understand what happened to Yuri, we have to go back to the place that took his life, the Blue Hole in Dahab, Egypt. Over the last decade, approximately 200 divers have entered its depths, never to return. A number so high, it's earned a chilling reputation, the most deadly dive site in the world, and named the Divers' Cemetery. The names of many who lost their lives are engraved on plaques along the mountainside, overlooking the deadly dive site. However, at first glance, the Blue Hole looks serene, an opening of about 80 meters in diameter on the roof of the Barrier Reef, leading to a 120-meter deep sinkhole. Below the surface, it is a daredevil trap. Its walls taper down like the sides of a funnel, but there is an opening. At a depth of 52 meters lies the Arch, a 26-meter-long tunnel that leads through the reef and into the open sea. This is well beyond the 40-meter limit for recreational diving. At this depth, the risks multiply. Oxygen becomes toxic, nitrogen narcosis sets in, and a single tank of air is nowhere near enough. For trained technical divers, the passage is possible, but survival depends on precise gas management. A delay, a wrong turn, or a miscalculation doesn't just make the dive harder, it makes resurfacing impossible. Even highly trained technical divers had lost their lives here. But Yuri wasn't a technical diver. Yuri Lipski, a 22-year-old Russian diving instructor, skilled, experienced, confident. He wanted to do a technical dive in the Blue Hole and had asked around, searching for an experienced technical diver to go with him. But Yuri only had 2 days. He was flying home the next day, and this was his last chance. Every single diver he asked said no. The depth was too extreme. The preparations took weeks. The right equipment was essential. But on April 28, 2000, Yuri made the fatal decision to do it anyway. He convinced a diver to go with him, without the right equipment to carry out a dive that deep. No one can say what drove him to make such an irrational decision. Some experienced local divers recall Yuri mentioning his plan to descend to 56 meters, just far enough to catch a glimpse of the Arch. Other divers said he was chasing a personal record, attempting a bounce dive and dropping as deep as possible. Either way, he chose to go against all the advice he was given. 17:02. The camera flickers to life. Yuri Lipski enters the water, adjusting his equipment and making final checks. His breathing is steady and his movements are confident. Attached to his head, a camera ready to capture the dive from his perspective. He only has one oxygen tank on him. The first few minutes appear routine. Sunlight filters down from above, illuminating the Blue Hole in a mesmerizing shade of deep blue. 17:03. In the footage, you can see other divers moving around in the background. 17:05. Yuri begins his descent. He tilts downward, pointing the camera into the abyss. The water darkens as he moves past 30 meters. The sunlight begins to fade. The people around him have all disappeared. 17:06. His breathing is even and calm. You can hear Yuri use his power inflator as he adds air to his buoyancy control device BCD to slow his descent and control his buoyancy. A BCD functions like a diver's life jacket, allowing precise control over buoyancy underwater. If a diver is too buoyant, they will rise uncontrollably. If too heavy, they will sink. The BCD helps maintain a stable position, preventing dangerous rapid ascents or descents. 17:07. Yuri adds air to his BCD again. He seems calm and in control. 17:08. Yuri's dive computer beeps, a possible depth warning. He's passing 30 or 40 meters. He is now going beyond the 40-meter limit for recreational diving. The water pressure is increasing rapidly. The deeper he goes, the less buoyant he becomes and the faster he sinks. At this depth, a subtle but deadly shift is happening in his body. Nitrogen narcosis is setting in, a condition that mimics the effects of extreme alcohol intoxication. It clouds his mind, slows his reactions, and warps his sense of time and danger, but Yuri doesn't seem to notice. 17:08. It appears the speed of his descent has increased, faster than it should be. His BCD should be inflating to slow him down, but it isn't. He hasn't used it for over a minute. Has it malfunctioned? Or has the narcosis begun to cloud his judgment? 17:08:30. Yuri begins checking his depth, possibly realizing, too late, just how quickly he is sinking. For the first time, we see his dive computer. It reads 81.7 meters. Less than 12 seconds later, it flashes again. 89.8 meters. Just a few seconds more, and it climbs to 91.6 meters. His descent is rapid, unstoppable. His depth is now well over 50 meters, the point where oxygen becomes toxic. His judgment is compromised, and nitrogen narcosis has undoubtedly set in. His breathing rate increases slightly. The sound of his regulator hissing fills the recording. His movements, once smooth and deliberate, are becoming more erratic. At 17:09, he slams into the seabed at 91 meters. The impact kicks up a thick cloud of silt, instantly reducing visibility to almost zero. The world around him turns black. He crawls across the seabed, stirring up clouds of silt, searching for something. Maybe a way back, maybe a way out, but he is far beyond help. He doesn't think to drop his weight belt at any point. Yuri tries inflating his BCD again. Nothing happens. Either it's malfunctioning or he's too impaired to use it. His movements have also become sluggish. The last few minutes of the footage show only darkness, but the audio continues. Yuri's breathing is labored. Deep inhalations, exhalations that sound sharp, frantic. He tries to move. The camera shakes slightly as he crawls along the seabed, kicking up more silt. The camera turns erratic. He's moving it around as if searching for something. A way out, a sense of direction. He tries inflating his BCD again. Nothing happens. Whether the device has failed or he's too impaired to operate it, the result is the same. His hands enter the frame, fumbling with his equipment, but it's unclear if he understands what he's doing anymore. Then, the most chilling moment of all. At 17:11, he takes off his camera. Maybe he's adjusting it. Maybe he understands what's about to happen. The footage floats away as his breathing slows. Then, silence. For several seconds, the camera continues to record only blackness. The abyss has swallowed everything, and then nothing. At first, no one realizes something is wrong. But minutes turn into hours. Yuri should have surfaced long ago. By now, the chances of survival are gone. He is almost certainly dead, lost somewhere in the depths. Technical diver Tarek Omar is called in by Yuri's mother to recover his body. Tarek became known in 1997 when he recovered the bodies of Conor O'Regan and Martin Gara, two Irish technical divers. Their bodies were found locked in an embrace 102 meters deep in the Blue Hole. They were the first bodies ever recovered from the Blue Hole. Since then, Tarek had retrieved more than 20 lost divers, with locals calling him the Bone Collector. To make things worse, Tarek had already met Yuri. An hour before Yuri set off on his fatal dive, he had approached Tarek, eager to film the arch. Tarek had advised Yuri that he would need 2 weeks training with him before he could make such a technical dive. But Yuri had already made up his mind to go. The next morning, Tarek descended into the abyss to find Yuri. At 91 meters, he found him lying with his face on the ground, motionless, his equipment still intact, but his body lifeless. The descent had only taken him a few minutes. Unbelievably, Tarek also found Yuri's camera. He assumed it was broken, but he picked it up anyway. Then began the huge task of ascending with Yuri's body. A deep recovery dive isn't just a matter of grabbing hold and swimming up. It would take precise gas mixtures, decompression stops, and slow, careful movements. One mistake and the rescuer could become another victim. Tarek followed a strict ascent plan, pausing every few meters to let his body adjust. After 3 grueling hours, he surfaced, carrying Yuri's lifeless body with him. When he emerged, Tarek noticed Yuri's BCD had ruptured. This rupture could have occurred during Yuri's descent, but during most of the recording, Yuri's breathing seemed calm, suggesting his BCD was working. Another theory suggests as Yuri was suffering from nitrogen narcosis and oxygen toxicity, by the time he reached the bottom, he crawled and tumbled around in his final moments, which caused his BCD to rip. No one will ever know for sure. Days later, Yuri's mother arrived. Tarek helped dismantle her son's equipment, going through every piece, searching for answers. And then, they found the camera. It shouldn't have worked. Found at 115 meters, well beyond its design limits, the pressure alone should have crushed it. But somehow, it survived. It was still working. Yuri's mother wanted to see the footage, and when they turned it on, they watched in horror as Yuri's final moments unfolded. Tarek regretted seeing it. But more than that, he later admitted he regretted Yuri's mother watching her son's tragic death. We played it, and his mother was there. I regret that his mother will have this forever. If I had known the footage existed, I'd have flooded it.